Okay, so we're asking dumb SEO questions. Each week we attempt to answer the questions asked on the dumb SEO questions community on Google+. With us tonight, I hope we have some more coming along soon, otherwise Tim will be having be losing your voice, Tim. But anyway, Tim runs onlineownership.com in the is it the Midlands of England?
Yeah, the Midlands.
Midlands.
Yeah.
It's about 100 miles from London. Yeah.
Yeah, give or take.
Okay. Here in Australia, 100 miles, like that's how far we go to get the milk.
Yeah, whatever, Tim, whatever.
Anyway, now let's have a look at our first question tonight. It's from Adam Pacento, and he wants to estimate sales based on an average number of searches. He said, how would I determine a pre-test rough estimate of online sales of a product based on the average number of monthly internet searches?
Well, I think Tony answered that pretty well. Based on obviously a page, a search result, 1 to 10 search results as such. Position 1, you're looking at 40% of click-throughs based on those monthly searches. The bottom of the page, Tony gives it 2%. I think that's quite generous for 2% for position 10. But yeah, I mean, going with 2%, and then you can work out roughly, based on that percentage-wise, what your click-through, and then obviously not every click is going to be a sale. And then you can work it out from there. Of course, I mean a lot of these things is obviously. I mean, a lot of this is also fairly guesstimated, and for one or two reasons. The data that's coming through, for example, from the Google AdWords, seems to be a lot lower than it actually is. Recently, I'm not entirely sure why that is, but it could be because they including not provided into there. I'm not entirely sure. So you actually they actually made more search traffic than sort of Google Keyword Planner is saying, which is obviously a good thing. There probably won't be less than what Google Keyword Planner is saying, but there will probably be more, which is a good thing. And of course, depending on what you may set a conversion percentage rate for yourself, but you need to look at obviously what your page is like. Once you've set that for yourself, if you don't, if it's not achieving that based on the traffic coming in, you would need to look at maybe do some A/B testing on your page. Because, and it happens a lot of the time, for example, with clients, they're getting the click-throughs and it's just not converting. It's quite tricky, but you need to be honest with yourself, because a lot of the time I'll say to them, look, your page is just crap and we need to change it. And because it's their baby in that sense, they can't actually see the problem in itself. You might have your sale button in the wrong place. It might be too far down. It might even, just little things that might even render below the fold, just little things. And of course, then there's your checkout process. Is it a one-page checkout process? Is your checkout process something like 7 pages long? You're going to lose conversions along the way. So once you get them to your site, that is actually when the work really starts, is getting them to actually convert on your site. That is the trick in it. But yeah, I think Tony gives some great estimates there.
Brilliant. Yeah, I thought so too. Okay, so let's call Adam's answered and move on to the next. Grayson Blom asks a question about Google authorship. He says, I've claimed my Google Plus authorship for my main website. Would it be wise to add this same HTML code to all of my niche websites?
Okay. Well, so yeah, I'm just possibly, Grayson, this is just the way you've worded it, but I have claimed my Google Plus authorship for my main website. I'm assuming what you've meant is that you've added authorship markup onto your website's articles, blog pages, and of course you've made that connection on your profile in that you are a contributor to that particular domain. Right. So that is how your authorship would be attributed and the connection made between your profile and your article pages. So assuming that's what you're exactly saying, and then you're saying, would it be okay to add your authorship also to all of your niche websites? So, one might be about pink giraffes, the other one might be about pink elephants. Assuming that you've written the content on that site in the blog, which obviously you're saying that they're yours, then yes, you are the author of those articles on there. So what you would need, yes, fine, add your authorship to those articles, and then of course in your contributor to section, add those other domains in your contributor to, because you contribute to them. One thing I just want to point out, because just the way you've possibly worded it, but you may not have it, you should not add authorship to all your website's pages. And you haven't specifically said to my articles, and you've mentioned domains and websites, so I'm just saying you shouldn't add authorship to your actual static landing pages in your site. And the reason being is that's because you add a publisher markup for that, because in essence, if it's an e-commerce site, yes, you may have written the little description on the product, but you're not actually authoring it in that sense. That is a publisher, and the website's domain and brand as such is the publisher of that content. You would attach authorship only to blog articles and articles on that site, or news articles that you have specifically written and authored, and that's where authorship is attached. So rel publisher gets attached to your site's pages, the static ones as such, and your authorship is attributed to the articles that you specifically author or write on those pages. So yeah, no, there's not a problem adding it to your authorship to articles that you've written on the other sites. You'll soon quite figure out if when you do that, one note: don't freak out if your author's profile, your image, doesn't appear in all the SERPs. Google also needs to figure out who you are and what you write on. So they're trying to figure out, do you just write about pink elephants, and but then all of a sudden you'll throw a thing saying, hey, I also write about green zebras, and then Google needs to figure out, okay, one article, we might not show your authorship. Two articles, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, actually, this guy is also an authority on green zebras, and we will start showing his, his profile, his image in the SERPs. So yeah, that's just a word of the wise, so that if you come back next week and go, well, I've done it and my image isn't showing, well, that's why. Google needs to establish these patterns, and once they have, then ultimately you will start appearing again for those. Right.
Cool, mate.
Hopefully that's
cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Grayson, I hope you're satisfied with that. This one is from Gareth Marshall. Tim, he's talking about schema markup on e-commerce sites. He says, hi guys, second question I'm asking here, seeing as though you all helped me out brilliantly the other week. Very kind of him to say so, Tim. He says, we're thinking about implementing schema markup onto our e-commerce sites. Most of our competitors seem to do it, and we've heard that it shouldn't do our SEO efforts any harm. However, we've noticed that one of our competitors uses the star average rating that's in a footer on their homepage on every product they rank for. So it appears that their average customer rating as a company, which is high, is being used in a footer on every one of their product pages, rather than each product page having its own unique rating, if you know what I mean. If you found one of their product pages in the search engine results pages, you'd think, oh, that product is rated quite highly, without realizing that the rating is in fact for them as a business, rather than that particular product. We just wanted to check that, in your opinion, is this really not a good practice? Correct? Thanks.
Well, yeah, Gareth. Well, to answer your very end, no, it's not good practice. Google will ultimately stop showing the schema on all of the product pages, or Google should ultimately stop. I know they have cracked down a lot, and a lot of pages, sites that haven't implemented it properly or are spamming like these guys are, has stopped showing up in SERPs. So, if it hasn't happened now, it will happen. They certainly shouldn't be doing it that way, and I'm quite surprised that Google hasn't figured that one and showed it. The other bit is just an odd remark on the other sense is, the other site must have pretty crap developers if they have to actually put text on page to mark it up at the bottom. Yeah, but no, if I was you, I would have it obviously set up properly, with your star ratings actually on your individual products, which is reflected in the schema markup for the particular page and product. Interestingly, just total another offshoot, and to also why Google's to show you that they really are cracking down, is it was noticed this week actually, Amazon always had a star rating appearing, but they never ever implement schema. It was just through the sheer authority of the site that they had it. Well, actually all of their star ratings have disappeared off Amazon. So Google is, seriously, they are tracking sites, and if you haven't got it implemented properly, they're removing it. So if they haven't done, I'm sure they would find this other site. Yeah, but no, definitely it's not good practice, and what you were saying is each and individual product page, that's best practice, and I would go with that, which I think you already have in your mind anyway.
Cool, mate. Okay, we are ripping through these. We'll have to keep everybody away all the time, Tim.
No, mate, no.
Well, look, here's one from your good friend and mine, Lucas Regala from Poland. He's an SEO guide in the frozen wastelands of Poland. He has a question regarding duplicate content between domains. He says, my client runs a tourist site which aggregates offers from hotels, apartments, etc. They were hit by a Google algorithm about 2 years ago, and we're still looking for any reasons why. In brackets, he says, I thought that DC on duplicate content on different domains is the issue, but in this industry, it's a typical practice. People add their apartments and copy-paste their main site text, in brackets. Lucas asks, in your opinion, Tim, can it hurt the site? He said, I'm not sure about this, to be honest. Another common situation, when an e-commerce site, for example, a shop with shoes, uses compare sites to gain traffic and sells it exports its products via XML file, making duplicate content with a compare platform, with a compare platform and their site. Can it be a problem too? To be honest, he said, I don't think Google cares about unique information. There are a lot of sites which provide almost the same information and still rank high. Maybe we should get more social signals for the site. Maybe work on bounce rate or click-through ratio from the Google search engine results page.
Right. Okay, duplicate content in the sense that what you're talking about is that let's say it's a hotel called, you know, the ABC Hotel, and that hotel is on a lot of different domains, and everyone has just used the same kind of standard text provided. And yeah, a lot of e-commerce sites do that. They use the same standard text provided by the hotel, saying we're a 4-star hotel, we offer 20, we've got so many bedrooms, blah 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 blah, all the same. The only thing probably different on the actual pages is maybe the price, because obviously each tour operator probably negotiates a different rate or commission or whatever. But in essence, they're all completely the same. Now, the way Google will handle that is yeah, look, it's not going to hurt as such, but what it is Google will then just list them in the search results in order of authority on the particular domain, and not actually on the on the actual page or the content provided on the page, because everything's the same. So Google then needs to work out, right, well, we've got 50 sites here, all the same hotel, all with the same information, bar maybe the price, but it's all the same hotel, same information. How do we then list it? Then it tends to be on the weight of the domain, like you see with Amazon. You chuck something on Amazon and it might be positioned like between 1 and 4, but you actually might have the same product. You might have written a great piece, and you might be like sitting back on page 2. It's just purely based on the domain when it gets to that. So Google needs to kind of figure out, and that's then afterwards is how they figure it out. But I would say is don't be complacent there. Firstly, I would try and offer some bit more insight into that particular hotel or apartment. Now, you say you were hit with an algorithm about 2 years ago. Now, you don't tell us what. Was it a manual penalty? You don't say. So let's assuming, because you're asking about content, you're assuming it was to do with a panda. just to differentiate, if you've got duplicate content on your site, with Panda, basically Panda would be a filter, so Google would then say, right, well, you've got 5 pages with all the same hotel on, with the same information. What we're going to do now is just filter those out of the SERPs and only provide one search result from your one page from your site, which we think is the better one, and we'll display it. So if you say you're suffering from an algorithm problem, then Panda, on the other hand, is also to do with sort of thin, low quality content on your site. So it may not be necessarily duplicate content, you just might have a lot of thin pages which Google just doesn't find very interesting and doesn't, think will provide a great user experience, and therefore, you might have had an algorithmic penalty in that sense. But yeah, so the takeaway from this is, if you are still going to provide the same information from the hotels, that's great. I'm in a a kind of similar situation at the minute where we're setting up, we're retweaking a client site. Funnily enough, also hotels. Funnily enough, all the tour operators use the same description of the hotels, the same images. So what we're pretty much doing at the minute is slightly restructuring it, in the sense that we've approached the hotel themselves and said, can we get images? We don't want it from the main site. We want to offer something slightly different, so we're offering slightly better pictures, more up-to-date pictures. We've even tracked down people on TripAdvisor that have posted images and said, hey, can we use your image because it's beautiful. So this is how we're trying to differentiate ourselves just slightly, where different images. We are still using the same body of text, but we're shaking it up a little bit more. We're just a little bit more info on what's in the actual area. So our page may still have the main bulk of it being the same, but we're adding bits. So we're changing the images, obviously, because if somebody lands on that image, they'll see all the same images on 10 different sites, from TripAdvisor to hotels.com, blah, blah, blah. They'll see all the same images. They get to ours, and they'll actually see fresh, up-to-date images. So, yeah, it's a little thing. Also, we're just doing a little bit of investigation of what's in the area. We're adding that to the page for what's in the area, adding landmarks, little couple of maps. So we're really just trying to, although we've got the same hotel to work with, same room, same price, blah, 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 we're just trying to shake it up and add a little bit more value to it than what all the others are doing. And, I'll let you know how it works out, but I'm anticipating a good little jump in that. And yes, social sharing will work too. Also, remember, you can schema markup hotels now. You can schema markup hotels. Not entirely sure about apartments, but there might be something in there. Holiday apartments, there might be something like that. We need to schema. I'd need to dig into that. But yeah, I wouldn't become complacent, and I would try and work that out. And just on the offshoots of that, if you say you had the algorithm, just double check. I don't think it's to do with duplicate content. I think it's potentially you've got thin content within the site, which you either need to pull out, retweak, or redo.
Top answer, Tim. This is a hotel question, Alistair. You probably don't know much about hotels.
I've got nothing. The only thing I'd say on this, Tim's all over this, so one other thing that I think you can do that could help you in the long run with this is making sure that your the design of your website looks different, great, better user experience. Google always go on about making really usable sites, and sometimes I think people think that it feels a little bit like lip service from Google, but it's really important because the more usable your site is, and maybe the more striking, more beautiful it is with better looking features, or the implementation of a photo gallery is better, slicker than your competitors, for instance. It's those kinds of subtle things that might ultimately lead you to getting more links, as an example. And then subsequently, the links are some of the things that will help you, reinforce your position in the search results after you address maybe some of these other issues that Tim was raising with potentially thin content or duplicate content issues or things of that nature. So I wouldn't discount really focusing on great usability, legibility, great design, and maybe innovative looking interfaces or user experiences.
Cool. Yep, very cool. All right, Lucas, I hope that's what you want. By the way, guys, Lucas predicted that Penguin was going to lob on the 24th of the 4th, 2014. I'm just putting in a little reminder here for Lucas to tell him that the 24th of the 4th has come and gone, mate. Anyway, our next is from Rahul Dixit, and Rahul asks what is schema.org. Rahul says, hi everyone, I'd like to know what is schema.org and what is the importance of using schema.org on websites, or using schema on websites. He says, I don't know how to implement schema on my WordPress website, www.bestquotationsforyou.com. Can you please guide me?
Well, the simple answer for what schema is it's additional HTML that you add to your website that helps you annotate the information in your website so that it's machine readable by Google and other search engines. So as an example, instead of them looking at a body of text on your website and seeing what they think might be reviews, as an example, customer reviews, and having Google hopefully understand that that's a review, you can add additional HTML to your website that explicitly tells Google this is absolutely a review. When Google come to the page, they understand this special additional markup that you've added to the HTML, and then your web page or pages become eligible for Google to leverage that additional very specific information potentially in the search results. So for instance, you'll have regularly seen star ratings and review scores in the search results. That's often getting into the search results because of schema.org markup. There's a lot of different ones that Google support on the schema.org website, and it's recently been expanded with a whole raft of new vocabulary or entities that you could document. So that's what it is. As for how you would implement it on your WordPress site, this is difficult, I suppose, because you'll need to find out which schema.org entity is relevant to your best quotations website. There may not be one, as an example. But for instance, you could implement, if you allowed people to vote or rate the quotations on your website, as an example, you could, for instance, add star ratings and schema related stuff to your website about what's the best quote on your website. If you did that, then potentially those star ratings might show up in the search results when someone does searches for, best quotes by X. They might see your web page with a star rating on it. So that's an example of what you could do. There may also be specific schema.org examples for the quotations themselves in some way, as an example. What you'll probably find, though, that is, if the content that is relevant for you, that you could potentially mark up with schema.org, is freeform, in a sense that you're just going to add it to the text area of a WordPress blog post. Annotating that with schema.org could be a little bit tricky. It can be quite fiddly to annotate all of these things if you have to do it manually. it's very easy when all of the information is structured. For instance, a blog post or an article or a hotel review. You obviously know who wrote the review, what the star rating was of the review, or the points that were given to the review and things of that nature. So it's all very structured, which then neatly you can place into the schema.org HTML template. If, for instance, the stuff that is useful for you to mark up is the content that you're just putting into the blog post content, that's a bit tricky. You might want to build a template in Excel, as an example, to make that super simple so that you don't get it wrong, or something like that. Because if the markup for the schema.org is incorrect, Google will often ignore it.
There's also the what I've found quite handy is the Rich Snippets testing tool. You can actually flip onto an HTML section, and what I tend to do is, if I've tried a new little bit of schema or something, I'll actually paste that into the testing tool into the HTML, and click on view or test, and Google automatically flips out if you've done anything wrong. So yeah, that's just a nice little handy way of just testing it out before you've implemented.
Sorry, I was muted. But I've got a little bookmarklet that AJ Cohn had on his website, and it's just magic. In fact, I've called my on my Chrome toolbar. I've just got a thing there, and it's called AJ, and so I just know to click that if I want to test a page. Very handy. You know how lazy? Well, I don't know about you guys, but after you've been working for about 3 hours, it's just too hard to type something in or to do something. Whereas if you've got a little bookmarklet there on the toolbar, you can just click it, and then lapse back into that semi-comatose state while it actually looks.
Yeah, Chrome. If you go into Chrome tools, they've got a little bookmark like you can attach to your address bar.
Okay. Well, we're ripping through these guys. We'll have to keep everybody away in the future, I think. Sharu Rastogi asks, can penalised sites run Google paid campaigns? He goes on to say, if a site which is penalised by Google, organic penalty, like an organic in brackets, he's got like he's referring to a manual penalty, can run Google paid campaigns, and will Google show the ads on search engine results pages?
Yes.
Yep.
They're separate.
Yep.
You could meta no index a website, for instance, and still run paid search to it. That's fine.
Yep.
I think the point here, I suppose, is that the organic side of Google's business versus the paid side of Google's business is separate. So unless you're violating Google's AdWords guidelines, they're pretty much always going to take your money. So if your website's penalised in the organic results, and that for some reason means that you need to spend more money to keep your business running, Google will take your money every day. Rest assured.
Okay. Yes, I think that certainly covered that. This one, I was reading this when I was setting up the run list for tonight, and it seems to me we have a new development which Yasser Mohammed has exposed for us. He asked the question, basically his competitor is using fake websites, but it seems from further investigation that a third party is making these fake websites and then selling them on. Anyway, Yasser says, hi guys, I've recently come across 2 websites which have started to outrank mine on page 1 for a very competitive keyword. One site is 2 pages and its content is littered with your business name, carpet cleaning is a professional. Even the reviews say I was so happy that I called your business name carpet cleaning, etc. He said, this is such a bad site. I haven't even bothered to insert a business name and the phone number is fake too. The second site lists its contact phone number as 00000, etc. And it's obviously a fake as well. Is there anything I can do to bring these types of sites to Google's attention? And later in the comments, he says, so I have checked the first site again today, and lo and behold, there is a business name now inserted instead of your name named here. Your name here. He said, it looks like it is a leased website. I didn't know people even did this. He said the SEO company gets the site to page 1 and then leases it out to a business on a weekly basis. This site has over 12,000 backlinks and over 40% of the anchor text is for one major keyword phrase. He says, I wonder how long it will last. And of course the answer is that it doesn't really matter because they've probably got another 15 sites behind it. This is the payday loans model, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, could be. Churn and burn. I think.
Yeah, I think I'll probably have a slightly longer shelf life than like payday loans, but these will probably have a penguin shelf life.
Yeah.
Because so it would probably, let's assume, in twice a year, so 6-7 months in between each one running. So they probably have a 6-month, let's just say a 6-month shelf life, whereas payday loans tend to have a 2-week shelf life.
So maybe we're in the wrong business. Maybe we should be building sites for people. You know, just build a whole bank of them.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
That's it. This weekend, I'm buying a payday loan domain. And I'm going to pound it with expired domains. Redirects, like X-Rummer runs. I'm just going to wail on it. See what happens. On a more serious note for Yasser, he could also report the site as a spam website as well. Or he could get the attention of one of the Googlers, you know, like one of, Matt Cutts or one of the spam search quality team. One of the guys in Matt Cutts' team, for instance, and report it as an example of an atrocious website that's still ranking. Outside of those 2 options, there's nothing really you can do until Google take action on it in some way, either manually or through an algorithm update. Sadly, it's just going to sit there earning someone money. So,
actually, John Mueller would be the guy, wouldn't he, Alistair? If Yasser were to get on to John's weekly hangouts and point it out, I'm sure John would love to know information like that.
Yeah, I mean, they're always looking for examples of bad websites that are ranking because, they want to be able to plug the holes that the spammers are using to force their way up the SERPs. This is why Google want you to report either poor quality, not necessarily because they've been spammed, but simply a poor quality search result, or report spam websites because, if someone can force and manipulate their way up where the quality of the website is just not there, it shows a gaping weakness in some aspect of Google's algorithm or their system. So, they're always welcome to receive those sort of reports, but outside of directly contacting Google through, John or Matt Cutz's team or a spam request, you don't really have any recourse.
Yeah. Okay, and Yasser, while that was going on, Yasser just sent me a message. He's looking for somebody to revamp his site. I was thinking of Mr. Wigglesworth would be the man to pull in for that, do you think? Or
No. He has a little bit of work to do still. And he's only available weekends now. No. You can't have him. Not yet. He needs to finish me off quickly.
Okay. All right. Alex McKill asks, can rich snippets be used for images? If so, one, how can you assign them? And two, what influence will they have on SEO?
Used for images. Rich snippets.
Well, you can. Well, I know there's Schema for images.
I don't really know, to be honest.
I have no clue. I must admit, I did try to, when I'm compiling the run list, if I've got time, I'll usually check it out. And I thought that I knew the answer when I compiled it. That's why I didn't bother to check. So now that you don't know, then I have no clue.
The answer is yes. There is an image object inside schema.org, and it is literally for what you think it is. The thing is, though, I'm unsure how Google would use that. Like, I can't think of an example in the SERPs where I've seen Google do something special where I've gone, oh, that's worth investigating. But as an example, there's a whole raft of attributes that you can add to it, like a caption, the EXIF data as part of the schema, so Google doesn't need to extract the EXIF data from the actual image itself. The thumbnail for it, whether it's attached to news articles, the bitrate, content size, the URL. There's a whole raft of stuff for it. So, yes, the answer is yes. You could do it. Where Google uses that, I don't know.
Right. All right, Alex, I hope that is sufficient. If it's not, please feel free to ask it again and point out that you want more of it, and we'll make sure that we look further into it for you. Brad Sachs asks, what SEO tools would you recommend? Brad said, SEO friends. I've currently been optimizing a site for 5 months. We've increased impressions and clicks dramatically with some fairly basic on-page, off-page techniques. But our current average Google rank for our target keyword remains between 12 to 18. We'd obviously love to be on the first page. What tactic would you suggest next to have the most impact in rank? What SEO tool would you recommend? Thanks.
I'm a little bit unsure there when he says sort of like what SEO tool, and then he's talking about ranking. There isn't an SEO tool out there which is going to rank you. So yeah, it's
Ex-rumor will.
yeah, for 6 months. Yeah. So look, I mean, the thing is, he's already says he's optimized his site, and you know that's given them a really good boost, and they've moved up. So, and then looking at the conversation, someone recommends, you know, sort of Screaming Frog, but that's sort of, you know, kind of checking your site out, and there's a lot of other tools out there which will check your site's health out. But obviously, you've said you've kind of done that in that sense. So there isn't really a tool for this. The next bit that's going to get you out there is pretty much, you know, creating an authority site. So this is to do with links, really, and there isn't a tool to do that. And don't say it, Jim.
What's that? What did you
X-Runner.
think I was going to say?
X-Runner.
No, that's right. X-Runner. Do not try this at home. Do not pass go. Go directly to jail.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I would say for Brad is that, you know, he says that he's done on-page and off-page techniques. I would suggest that if he's been doing, depending on how competitive his industry is that he's working in, he's made some good ground in 5 months. He should probably go and get access to a link graph tool, you know, like a Majestic SEO, Ahrefs, Moz, link research tools, you know, whatever it is that he wants to use, and start doing some competitor link analysis of the websites that are in front of him to better understand the gap between him or his website for the keywords that he's interested in and his competitors. Because you might find, for instance, that he's competing in an industry where he's got some really established competitors in front of him, and his website's just simply not got enough push to get past or onto page 1 yet. And he just needs to work really hard, great marketing, great content, start doing things where he can start, you know, building really high quality links to his website, or targeted link building campaigns or initiatives to drive links to his site. Not spammy links, obviously, good quality stuff that he genuinely wants. But until he does some competitor analysis, he really won't understand what the gap is. The gap could be, you know, 2,000 linking root domains, for instance. And it could take him another 6 or 9 months of really hard work to eat that down, chomp by chomp by chomp. So yeah, he really needs. That would be my recommendation: a link graph tool and competitor analysis against the people that he wants to rank against for whatever phrases he's interested in.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, the one that I'd also suggest is a brand bid on AdWords that can sometimes help. Would you recommend that as well, Alistair?
Yeah, it can't hurt. And so long as his
Not expensive.
website brand, so to speak, is not generic in nature, and it is actually a brand per se. The clicks in AdWords obviously are going to be cheap. But again, you know, that's not going to directly impact his organic rankings. It might lead to more links indirectly, but the distance probably between him and his competitors is probably pretty large. So he'll probably need to do more than that as an example. But it won't hurt, you know. And if it passively yields a few more links, fantastic.
Yeah.
But more than likely he'll need to go out and really pursue this with some vigor.
Excellent. Okay, here we have a question from Sharu Rastogi. He said that we have links submitted through the sitemap, but none are showing as indexed. He says, I have a website developed in CRE loaded, although the site performance is good, but when I'm checking the index page's status in Google Webmaster Tools, the result is 0 out of 1875 links submitted through the sitemap. Why is this happening?
He could have an error in his XML sitemap. So for instance, if he has verified the www version of his domain, and the XML sitemap includes URLs that don't include the www, they would be invalid as far as the sitemap protocol is concerned, because the URLs in the sitemap need to match the domain that the sitemap is on, just as an example. So something like that might cause Google to not index in Webmaster Tools, so to speak, those URLs. So maybe have a look at something like that.
Okay. I'm going to call that an answer for Sharu Rastogi. I'm sure that will be where the solution will lie. Well, I think so anyway. Raman Malhotra asks, have you noticed that the authorship photo now shows up in Google search? He said, have you noticed that the authorship photo now shows up in Google search when you are actually logged in and you have the author in your circles or contact list? Interesting. Well, I'd say yes, we have.
Yeah, it also happens just logged out in normal search results. If you've circled someone, a brand, a business page, and you do a search around that, obviously if it's a person, that name, if you do a search on a brand or a topic or anything around there, even logged in or logged out, it will still logged in, it will actually start appearing in the SERPs, because you circled it, or someone that you have circled, posted an article that had something to do with the search term that you were actually searching for. So yeah, and that's called technically search plus your world. You can turn that on and off if I'm not sure in other browsers, but if you're in obviously I'm using Chrome, in the top right hand corner in the search box there's like a little image, a little person, and then a world, and that's where you can turn on or turn off personalized search. So if you conduct a search and someone, like a brand pops up that you obviously in your circles and they've posted two things, you can turn it off to actually see the non-personalized search results also. Yeah, so that's been going on for quite some time.
Yep. Okay. Raman, I hope that's an answer that meets with your approval. Mike Cook asks us, does anyone know of a search engine results page ranking checker service? Mike says, okay, quick question. Does anyone know of a SERP ranking checker service that is quite accurate with keyword monitoring, but will also let you group keywords by page? I have used a few and not been blown away. Position was quite good. However, the one I am using is very slow. Any ideas?
There's loads out there. There's SEMrush Search Metrics. There's WebMeUp. There's Rank Tracker. There's Moz. There's loads. There's loads. Just Google best,
Google
keyword
rank.
ranking. Yeah. And there are a lot of them. And I suppose
there's a whole bunch of Windows-based ones as well that you can use, like applications like Web CEO, Web Position Gold, or whatever it's called.
Isn't Web Position Gold recommended strongly against?
Stuff if I know.
I think it's the only tool that Google's ever put in their Google guidelines.
Okay, well then don't use that one. Yeah, just Google it. There's so many of them.
Did WebMeUp get in touch with you, Tim? That's strange.
No, and I really like it. I really like the platform. It's well thought out. It's clean. It generates great reports. The email updates it sends you, I just like it. It's really nice. The only bitch is that most people want to see where they are based on a certain set of keywords and where 3, 4, 5, or 6 of their competitors are, and monitoring those also. So you can keep an eye on competitors. Oh, so he's doing something there. What's going on? Then you can delve in and analyze. So seeing it all on one sheet, and that's the only thing that they don't do. So I have to go and look elsewhere for that. So yeah.
I must say, SEMrush and disclose that SEMrush has given us a lend of their guru tool, and we've been using that for a few weeks. I'm liking that for the way it does that tracking.
Yeah. SEMrush certainly. And that's why when obviously because you want to check everything out, I really like, SEMrush does everything that WebMeUp and vice versa. There are obviously differences. I really like WebMeUp's their idea on the way they track your links to your site. So I like that. And also, they will send you a little flag that, oh, this one might potentially be toxic. This one's really dangerous. Please check it out. It flags it up for you that they found this. Whoa. SEMrush, to do a backlink, you actually have to add in your domain or whatever the case may be, and then it checks it out. It goes through the whole list. It doesn't sort of track them like, daily as such. But then SEMrush tracks all your competitors or competitors that you manually insert, or it also provides you with suggested. So that's why SEMrush is looking, like the one I'm going to go with. Whereas the WebMeUp, if they just put a little bit of into that, then I did emails, or I did drop into one of the forums where I don't know if he was the owner or manager or anyway, his thing was, oh, we do provide that, but it's not all there. You got to go and click that. And I'm like, mate, you're not listening to what other people are saying to you. There's like about 20 people on this forum all saying to you, hey, listen, we really want to see competitor analysis. And here you are actually getting aggressive with everyone going, no, that's not the way we do it. It's like, come on. So anyway, only yeah.
Okay. All right, Mike, I hope you like that answer. Here's one from Suresh Kumar. Suresh says, would you share some new SEO strategies for learners like us in 2014? Suresh says he loves dumb SEO questions.
SEO strategies.
I don't think
you shouldn't be looking for new SEO strategies per se for learners like us. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I feel as though if you're starting out, you really need to cover off all of the standard stuff. I know that's the worst answer that you want to hear, but it's really, 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 really important that all of the foundation stuff is squared away. Really simple things like URL canonicalization, crawling, unique title tags, meta descriptions that are useful and descriptive for the SERPs to help the click-through rate. Make sure that Google can crawl through your site and all the content's indexed. XML sitemaps. If you're using Schema.org or Rich Snippets type stuff, or Open Graph type stuff for social sharing, or Twitter cards, or the Google Plus markup for sharing stuff into here. All of those sorts of things that you just have to get right. Great content, keyword research, a good site architecture. If it's a bigger site, it's really important. All of those things, fundamentals. Some of them are really big topics that you can get lost in if you've got a bigger site, but I feel as though they're ultra important that you get those things squared away before you worry about the next new hot thing on the shelf.
Yep. Yep, fair enough. Okay, Mickey Wesler says, or has a question on SEO on a large site with a results page. Mickey says, hi everyone, I have yet to come up against this yet, so any help would be gratefully appreciated. I have a client that is a hospital group with 53 locations and hundreds of doctors. They have a doctor search area where people can put in various criteria such as specialty, location, gender, etc. And I am looking for the best way to SEO those results pages. I haven't figured out how to make different title tags, which give me the most concern, but I'm wondering about the H1 tag. On the results pages, no matter what the client wants, no matter what, the client wants to have their tagline, which has no keywords in it. I'm looking for a solution. My thoughts are not to have an H1 tag and to put the tagline just in bold. Would results pages that do not have an H1 be hurt? Has anyone worked with SEO on a large site with the results page? Any help or even ideas would be wonderful. Thanks in advance.
I wouldn't get too hung up if you couldn't get an H1 in there with a keyword in. A lot of sites have multiple H1 tags because of the way a developer's built it. And again, in a tidy kind of way, not ideal, but it's not going to hurt you in that sense. Have you thought about, obviously, can you, I don't know what your landing page looks like, but is it segmented into the services you offer? Is there an opportunity to have H2s in there with the actual services, the different services boxes? So, but I wouldn't lose any sleep over it because you couldn't get it in there.
I would say this is a classic example where you should do keyword research. You're asking about, I'm looking for the best way to SEO the results pages. Well, with 53 locations and hundreds of doctors, it seems reasonable, as an example, that people would be searching for, at the very minimum, location plus doctor type, like oncologist, if you had cancer, or a gynecologist, or a psychologist, or psychiatrist, or all of the different types of specialties that doctors specialize in. So at the very least, I would think that you would want to do the keyword research to make sure that that marries up with the data, but I suspect at a dead minimum that would make sense. And then build out from there. You might find a whole raft of ideas after doing keyword research that you never thought about. That's the point.
Yep. Okay. Let's move on now to Devin Peterson's question on transcribing videos. Devin says that for some products I sell, there are manufacturer videos that describe the specs and instructions for using the item. Many of these videos are helpful, so I post them on my product pages. I was considering transcribing the videos and adding that content as supplemental information, probably using an aside element. However, I then remembered that YouTube transcribes most videos automatically. These videos are all on YouTube. I then thought that perhaps my transcriptions would be considered duplicate content, since Google likely indexes the transcriptions that it automatically generates from the videos. Is this reasoning correct? Are there any good reasons to transcribe or not to transcribe these videos?
Transcribing works really well if you're trying to, for quite a variety. It all, if some of these videos and other people have used these videos, and these videos are, it's quite a good way of adding something to it. If a lot of people have shared them. So same again. Look, it's not duplicate content in that sense. You've got a lot of sites which have posted the video. So how do you stand out over and above offering just that video on a page? Transcribing them is a good way, and it works. It works really nicely on adding that something else to the user, as well as creating sort of a keyword-rich environment for a search engine to kind of relate the video to that. Also, I like transcribing where I can, definitely.
Such hard work, though.
Yeah, but this is where the subcontinent, Jim, comes into its own, mate. Because you can send off a video and you can get it fully transcribed back, 3 or 4 days later, word for word, exactly, for, no hassle, with a minimum cost.
I wouldn't like to try and get a price on some of our SEO Questions 8-hour episodes.
Yeah, no, that would just, that'd be crazy.
Okay. All right, Devon. To be honest, my view is different to Tim's. But the reason I say that is because we did transcribe some of the early SEO questions hangouts. My son Elliot was kind enough to volunteer. But I don't see those pages ranking any more highly than the others. So you know, I'm just not sure of the value. But then again, if there is value somewhere, I know that Tim will find it. Here's a question from David Jones. He says, is there a tool that shows a site's domain authority history? Anyway, David says, quick SEO tools question here. Is there a tool out there that shows a site's domain authority history? Is it, I mean, something like a graph showing its rise or fall over a period of time? Thanks. Domain authority, that's a Moz term, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think Moz do that. Majestic have some graphs like that that are over time in terms of total number of links over time and things of that nature. You might find that there's reports or graphs within Majestic that might help. I'm not sure to be positive, but it might be worth a look.
Okay, David, I'm sorry that that's what we have for you tonight. If you need more, please ask us again on the SEO Questions community on Google+. Rahul Dixit asks or says, Google Webmaster Tools reports 404 for live pages. He says, hi everyone, in my Google Webmaster Tools, I'm getting a warning message of 404, but actually these pages are live. Can anyone please help me out in this?
Is it possible that maybe the pages were down offline when Google crawled them, maybe for server maintenance or something like that from your web host? Maybe.
If you yeah, I mean that is, yeah. I mean, you'd have to be pretty unlucky for for Google to hit a page when the site's down. If you click on the actual page in the Webmaster Tools, and obviously if you click onto it in the link, so it'll bring up the box and it'll say, you know, what pages and what it linked to. If you click on that actual, and I'm assuming when it opens up in the new window from Webmaster Tools, that is live. So I'm assuming that's what you're saying. It's completely live. But I would like you to just double check that actual link, because are you just checking a page on the site? I want you to make sure that the actual link that Google's got is the actual link. So I know that sounds daft, but occasionally you will get like a skewed link somewhere, or a broken link, or something is capitalized and the one is non-capitalized. So you might be looking at it and thinking, yeah, well, actually that's live, and you look on your site and that page that you're thinking it is actually live. So just double check that link that's being provided in Google Webmaster Tools. So that's the first bit, and then obviously to correct if it is the other thing. Just double check the header that page is serving, the response code. You know, there may be something gone a bit wonky that it's serving a 404.
So it's serving the right content, but with a 404 response code.
Yeah, I mean, because
visually it looks incorrect when you click the link, but Google's actually getting a 404 response code, which to them, they don't care what the content is. They care what the response code is. So,
yeah, it says 404, and even though it looks live, it looks fine, it's actually serving a 404 to Google. There is that potential. I don't know how a developer would really make that mistake, but yeah, it could happen.
well, he could accidentally configure the web server wrong, for instance, if he was making changes to the error documents. He could stuff up something. He could break a regex rewrite rule or something and accidentally return a 404 response code on lots of URLs through mod rewrite. Maybe.
Often a regex rewrite, Google, a regex rewrite that does a redirect and provides the content that was intended, but Google will sometimes guess that to be a soft 404. Google will think that it's wrong. That might be what's happening.
Well, there's a different category of errors in Webmaster Tools for soft 404s, I think, isn't there? They've got 404 errors where it's response code 404.
Oh, right. You're right, yeah.
And I think it also categorizes soft 404s separately, which is a 200 response code that Google thinks might be a 404 page based on the content that's come back. Yeah, there's a different category for it.
Yeah, and also if you've, like, on some sites where you've got an old page which you 301 redirecting to another page, or something that came down, you redirect it, depending on what's on that could then end up in a soft 404, because Google's saying, well, actually, I think that should be a 404 rather than a redirect kind of thing. Yeah, but the 404 one should be based on the header code.
Okay. Here's one from Samir Sugwikar. He said, my site is not ranking for its namesake. He said, it looks like my site was hit by the Google gods. In that case, they wouldn't be gods, would they? He said, I've had the domain for over 10 years and now it doesn't rank anywhere, even for its namesake. I.e., if you search for Sun Mantra, SUNMANTRA, and look for sunmantra.com on Google, he said, the Webmaster Tools show no errors. My domain is also not on any penalty list. And he said, all my pages show up when I do a site:/sunmantra.com search. He said, I am stumped. Any guidance will be appreciated. Hey, Masataki.
Hello. So is this a case of algorithmic adjustment?
I'd say it's some sort of a penalty that's been applied that is not showing as a manual penalty. Maybe. I mean, it's a 10-year-old domain, and if Sun Mantra, although actually no, that's right. I remember now. If you look at the comments from the site, it appears that 5 months ago he changed to a new domain, and his logo wasn't it's showing an alt tag of Sun Mantra, which is normally a hint for Google. And also Edwin Yonk ran some SEMrush. He ran a site audit, a SEMrush site audit, and shared it with him. Anyway, he responded, and then he suggested that he would add lines in robots text to ignore directories that were causing duplicate content issues. And Edwin responded, I wouldn't use robots text for canonicalization issues. Yeah, so there was a bit more to it. It basically is a site redesign, so he doesn't say whether he left a lot of URLs behind, but that's a possibility. It doesn't appear to have many results in doing a site colon check. Only 43 results.
I get 57.
You get 57?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. If you click on the 5, do you still see 57?
No, I had to click on the repeat the. No, I'm saying now 45. I clicked on the there might be duplicate results. Click here to see all, and then I ended up with 45.
Yeah. He's got that word Sun Mantra all over the site. I just wonder why it's not showing up. Okay, will we go past this one? Samir, I hope that's been useful to you. If you'd like an explanation about Mr. Yonk's advice not to use robot text for canonicalization, if you're concerned about duplicate content, blocking a page with robots text doesn't stop the page from existing and doesn't stop the page being found. Blocking it with robots text only stops it from well, it doesn't stop it actually being in the index either. It'll just be indexed without any details, just the URL will be indexed. The right way, if you do have duplicate pages, is to use a meta no index tag on the page that you think is a duplicate, and unlock it from robots text so that Googlebot can crawl the page and read the no index tag. Anyway, Sam Ma asks us, how hard is the Google Analytics IQ test? He said, have many of you passed this test? How hard is it? Somebody responded to him. It was Martino Mosna, and he said that he'd taken the test. He said it was very technical, especially on the tracking cookie side, but not impossible. Harder than AdWords certification, though. Any comments on this one?
I've never bothered to sit it before. I probably should.
Sorry, what was that on?
I've never bothered to sit the exam before.
Oh, okay.
It's never really dawned on me, to be honest. Well, it has actually. I just haven't bothered for some reason. Probably should.
Oh, they'd probably actually have to have a special version made for you, wouldn't they?
Oh no, it'll go okay, I'm sure.
Okay. All right. Well, Sam, I hope Martino gave you what you were looking for. Sunweb Technologies asks, are there free tools to check backlinks?
Yes. You can get there's backlinks inside to verified domains within Google Webmaster Tools to the stuff that you own. You can get backlink data to your own websites and competitors through Bing Webmaster Tools. You can get a certain amount of backlink data for free from Open Site Explorer, not a lot, but some. You can get quite an amount from Open Site Profiler, which is sort of a new contender on the block at the moment. A lot actually from them while they're still in beta. If you verify your website with Majestic, you can get a whole raft of link data to your own websites within Majestic. I think Ahrefs have got a similar thing, but I think you need to pay to get competitor data, like, you know, an arbitrary website, I think, like in any great depth. Bing actually also supports in the search results some advanced query operators that let you look at the links for our website as well directly in the search results. So maybe go and have a look at some of the advanced Google Bing queries around links.
I was amazed how Bing results, how good they're getting Bing results, and also how sparse Google results are getting. They seem to be wanting to give the answer on the first page. Do you know what I mean? Like, if after the first page, there's really nothing there that's close to the answer that we're looking for.
Yeah, I think there's been a really fantastic improvement in Bing in the last little while. I think that they should be, you know, commended for really having a crack. Like, it feels for the first time, you know, in the last 12 months or 18 months that they're genuinely trying to make a difference and like really improve. They're releasing new functionality that's like really visible, that's a direct competitor to Google, you know, with things like knowledge graph and new interfaces and new functionality. I think, yeah, it's really good to see them like compete, so to speak. You know, for the last 5 years, for instance, prior to that, or you know, Microsoft Search under its various names, I don't feel as though it's actually been genuinely trying to compete against Google. They might have thought they were, but Google were, you know, outclassing them, I suppose, in terms of feature development and advancement. But it genuinely feels like the Microsoft guys now are really delivering functionality into the SERPs that is going head-to-head with Google, which is fantastic. I think it's great.
And I just wondered how much of Google's resources are now being pumped towards Google Apps, because you know, Microsoft is bringing all firepower to bear, pushing out Office in the cloud, and you know, Office web apps and so on, and they've really caught Google flat-footed. They've basically priced many of their products down to zero. To me, they've out-Googled Google. And so I'd say Google will be catching up, or playing catch-up right now. Anyway, Alexander Kovrilia wants to create an XML sitemap for WordPress. Alexander says, I am building a website on WordPress and I want to create an XML sitemap. And after that, I wanted to verify a website using the Google Webmaster Tools. If I made an XML sitemap and then I verify a website, do I still need to add an XML sitemap after verification with the Webmaster Tools is done? I watched the tutorial that the last step after verification is to add an XML sitemap using Google Webmaster Tools. Will I make a mistake if I add an XML sitemap after the HTML verification is over? Or can I just skip adding an XML sitemap because I already made an XML sitemap before the verification with Google Webmaster Tools? Alexander, you live a very complicated life.
Yes, he does. So that's really simple answer to this. Verification and Google Webmaster Tools are unrelated entirely. You could verify a website and not have an XML sitemap. You can have an XML sitemap and have Google find it and have never verified your website, because you can reference your XML sitemaps from your robots.txt file, which means that Google, Bing, Yahoo, Baidu, etc. can all discover the XML sitemaps for your website, and you could have never verified your website with a Google Webmaster Tools. So in that regard, they're unrelated. Can you make a mistake in terms of creating the XML sitemap before or after? It makes no difference. Can you include it in the robots.txt file and manually add it within Webmaster Tools? Yes. Will it hurt? No, won't make any difference. How should you go and generate an XML sitemap? You're using WordPress, so use one of the plugins. Don't try and do it yourself or use a crawler or something like that to manually generate one. You can use the XML sitemaps plugin. I think Yoast's SEO Tools plugin produces XML sitemaps, and All-in-One SEO I think now does XML sitemaps as well. But don't do it manually. There's no need. Either of those two SEO plugins I think will do it for you.
Yep. Okay, Alexander, I hope you're happy with that. Here we are, question 22 on your run list. It's a question from our very own Dave Elliott. He asked this tonight, and I saw him ask this, so I ran back and put it on our run list. Essentially, he's asking, should he not bother with canonical? Dave said he has an irritating canonicalization problem that is making him confused and wanting to stab people. He says, help me not get done for murder. He says, I have a site with a blog thingy on it. Actually, that blog thingy, I actually, Tim earlier, when he was talking about the RFCs for HTTP response, he referred to a thing called a wonky. I suppose it's something similar, Tim. He said the blog lives on /latest-news. He said, I want to canonicalize the front page of the blog to /latest-news/view-all so that the content is always on the page and to avoid pagination issues. He said the stupid blog module is considering everything in the blog as one page and then dynamically creating stuff. For example, if I put a canonical tag into the head, it affects /latest-news/view-all /latest-news and /latest-news/category. And most annoyingly, /latest-news/post title. In the case of /latest-news/post title, it also generates its own canonical tag for each post, which will result in there being two canonical tags on these pages. Brackets, the auto-generated comes after the latest -news/view-all tag in the code if this changes anything. He said, how in the hell am I meant to sort this? Is it possible? Or should I just sort the sitemap for this section and not bother with the canonical? And please...
ridiculously complex for no good reason. So the first part of this is why he adds the canonical tag and it effectively goes across all post types, all page types within his site. In that scenario, he needs to find out with whatever CMS he's using, probably WordPress, but maybe something else. You can, there's functions within the WordPress templating library that lets you determine the page type. So is it the home page? Is it a category page? Is it a post? Is it a page? Is it a tag, etc.? You'll need to hook into those sorts of templating functions to determine only to emit your canonical tag, this custom one, on the home page. The trouble that you might have with that is that you probably run, if it is WordPress, you're probably running one of the SEO plugins as well, like Yoast or All-in-One SEO, both of which will emit canonical tags for you automatically. So you'll need to override the Yoast behavior or the All-in-One SEO behavior only on the home page. So when the request comes in for the home page, you'll need to add a filter or a hook, a filter that will unload All-in-One SEO or Yoast only on the home page, and then add your custom piece of code only on the home page to override its default behavior to avoid you getting two canonical tags showing up on the home page. The bigger question for me out of this is why? I want to canonicalize the front page of the blog to view all, latest news/view all, so all the content is always on the page and to avoid pagination issues. There is no pagination issues. Google understands pagination just fine. You don't want to have 60, 70, 90, 150 blog articles on one URL. It will be a useless URL. with no theme for Google to discern what the content and theme of that page is. The likelihood is if you do that, and when someone comes looking for content on your blog anyway, they're going to find the relevant page or post within your blog regardless. It's very unlikely that Google will return this view all page that you're trying to customize in this way. I don't think it's likely it's going to do what you think it is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the main thing is we don't want Dave going off to stab people.
Well, if he must, he needs to have the psycho music.
Okay, Nagaraj Guda asked a question on search functionality. He says, I'm looking for a solution which is related with search functionality. The example scenario is, suppose there are 100 websites available which provide various cooking recipes. I'm planning to have a new website, xyz.com, and from this website, if I search for biryani, biryani-related results will be fetched from those 100 cooking websites and filtered with a list of the top-rated results for a biryani search. And these search results will display in my new website, xyz.com. I see in the comments somebody said it sounds like you're trying to build a search engine that scrapes other sites, and he said, sorry, but Google may have beaten you to it.
Yeah, it does sound like reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. He's basically trying to create Google without having to have algorithms. Just piggybacking off Google.
The interesting thing about this is, if he wanted to do that, he could just use a Google custom search engine. Go and create one, add the 100 domains in, and then he gets the benefit of having Google search awesomeness limited to the 100 domains or whatever that he wants to restrict it to. It's kind of like win-win.
Yeah. Okay, Nagaraj, there's some food for thought, mate. All right, well, we've done it again. We've covered all of our questions this week. Now we move on to items of interest posted in our SEO news community this week. We actually had nothing posted in our SEO community. I'm not sure whether that means that we didn't have any SEO news this week, or we're coming up a little bit of tiredness on it. So I posted the article on regarding Josh Baczynski's. I won't call it meltdown, but it was certainly in heading in that direction. And I also posted Masataki Wasa's article, and I have to confess, Masataki, I haven't had time to read it yet, but I also have an idea what's actually in it, and I knew I'd have you to tell us what's actually in it, because I think it's significant And so over to you, Mr. Taki.
Okay. Basically, for the past few weeks, I have been uploading images to local Google Plus pages. So that is to say, businesses, organizations, anything really with presence on Google Maps. You know, you search for something on Google Maps, balloon pops up, then there is a local Google Plus page. And the peculiarities of the views figure that appears on your Google Plus profile or your Google Plus page is that it's an aggregation of views on posts as well as on photographs stored on your Google Plus Photos or Picasa web albums. So if you're a famous photographer, for example, and you store your images on Google Plus Photos, Picasa web albums, and that's shared and viewed in various places, not just on Google Plus, but perhaps on Blogger blogs, or it's been shared, linked, hot linked, then they all count towards views. So I initially started as an experiment to inflate my views, and it was quite successful. But I think the serious implication is that a lot of businesses have not verified their listings. So that means they haven't, and there are no photographs associated with those businesses. So when I take a photograph of a particular business, upload it to the Google Plus page, local Google Plus page of that business, then in most cases, the photograph I uploaded became the profile picture or default picture. Now that can appear in various circumstances, in search, local search in particular, and on maps. I don't know exactly when they count as views, but if you, for example, type in a brand name or search, local search, then a local knowledge graph might pop up. And at the top left corner of the knowledge graph, there would be a photograph next to a map. That photograph is usually taken from photographs uploaded to the Google Plus page, or it could be from Panoramio, and that will count as a view. I'm pretty certain about that. And then there are other occasions. So when you search for, I don't know, a generic search such as pubs in or pubs near a particular town, then you'd find a local section of search results, so 3 or 4 down. And then if you hover over different pubs or bars, then the knowledge graph will pop up. Then again, I think it counts. If on the maps, you go on the maps and you click, you do a search and you have a list view on your left-hand side column, then again you see thumbnails. I'm not so sure whether they count, but if you click on a balloon and expand the balloon, then you'd see an image associated with it, a thumbnail associated with that listing, and I think that will count. Anyhow, so there are many situations in which those pictures are shown, and the problem is that anyone can upload images to local Google Plus pages and thus appear as the profile picture or picture representing that listing. So if you're a business owner, it can be a bit of a problem because you don't know who's uploading images and what kind of pictures are being uploaded. It could be a pretty bad picture. So I think the really serious thing that I found out is that or the serious conclusion, as it were, that I came up with is that business owners should really verify their local Google Plus pages. They don't have to use it socially. They don't have to post in streams, but make sure to claim their Google Plus pages and add a few pictures so that you have the control over what appears, visually speaking, with your listing in various situations that I've mentioned, whether it's search or maps.
I have to say that if you and Tim were racehorses,
no, I've just come to the simple conclusion that London images and London pubs and London shops and London itself is generally searched for more than frickin' images and businesses in the Midlands. It's as simple as that. If I had been in London, I would have leveled it out with Masataki. But as it is, I'm about 400,000 views short of his.
do they have electricity in the Midlands?
Yes, mate. Yes, mate. It's called the Cat and Toast. Did you see that? Did you see that post? It was brilliant.
No, I didn't. Oh, yes,
brilliant.
I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah. That's what I currently have going on in my kitchen.
Now, Masataki, okay, given what you have learned from this, what would you call it? It was like an absolute rout. This complete trouncing of Tim. What strategy could you pass on to a small business owner who wants to get their view rate up? What would be the key?
I mean, it's photos, upload images into your own listings, I suppose, because if you verify your listing, just verify, so you don't do anything with it, so you don't post and you don't upload images to your own listing, then the only occasions in which a view is counted for that local Google Plus page is when someone actually looks at the local Google Plus page. Whereas if you upload images to your own local Google Plus page, and that image appears in search results, or the so that could be search results in general, or it could be on maps, then they will count towards views. Because I think there is an issue in that I've come across a number of local Google Plus pages that have been verified, that have been claimed, but they have extremely low views figure. So they have one follower, i.e. the person who's created that listing or claimed that listing, and then they have a couple of hundred views. I think that's highly misleading because the Google Plus page might have been viewed only a couple of hundred times, but if they had uploaded images, they need to be far greater. And I think there's an issue because business owners might think, okay, well, it's, I don't know, a month and they only got 150 views. What's the point of having local Google Plus page? The problem is that the information that you enter on your Google Plus page can be used in the knowledge graph, as far as I know. So, if there are no other references to opening times, for example, I think the details that you submit on your local Google Plus page as opening hours will be pulled into the opening hours in the knowledge graph. So, if things change, and if you don't change that on your local Google Plus page, the information might be wrong. That you might be giving wrong information to your potential customers, and they might turn up when you actually closed, when it said it was open. So I think there are reasons why businesses should verify their listings. But I wouldn't worry about the views figure. I think that's sort of a bit of a red herring, to be honest. I think it's important to verify the local listing because whether you like it or not, people will be looking for your business on Google, whether it's search or maps, and you would like to control how it's viewed and what information you're imparting. So that's why I think it's really important to verify it. You don't have to use it socially. I think that I would like to make that point quite clear. You don't have to, go on, post lots of things, engage with people, but make sure you verify and make sure you keep an eye on the reviews.
Right. Tim, anything for young players in this?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest takeaway for businesses, like Masataki said, is you need to claim your business. You need to verify your business. That is like the biggest takeaway, because I don't think the views as such, well, they have no meaning. But the biggest takeaway is, I mean, when I was doing it also, yeah, there are countless businesses that have been verified. Even Peugeot. Peugeot, why haven't you claimed your business listing? Yeah, there's just countless businesses out there which just haven't even verified it. They've just kind of, and you know, the funny thing is, Massa, they are probably getting, you know, a fair bit of traffic coming to their site from these. You know, especially some of the big brands. It's quite surprising that they haven't gone and verified them, because, yeah, you know, it's really important. And of course, what you add to that. I mean, a lot of these listings also rely on, you know, mapmaker edits. So, like Massa said, with the with opening hours, you know, someone with all great intentions might place the wrong opening hours on there, which is translated into knowledge graph. And when someone searches for your brand name and sees the knowledge graph, and actually it'll say in the knowledge graph nowadays, it'll say open today, and then it'll give you the hours. Or if someone's got it wrong, it might say close today, and all of a sudden you've kind of maybe lost a visit or potential customer coming to your store if you're a bricks and mortar store. So yeah, you know, it's really vital to claim it and make sure the whole listing is properly filled out. Yeah.
I was thinking one way to get the views up, I mean, it looks like it might be a few months before we get a chance to use Andy Wigglesworth's skills. He might well be occupied for a while, but I might get him onto the dumb SEO Questions site and appoint him as manager of the dumb SEO Questions page, and load all the images for DSQ up to that page. Would that mean that every time somebody visited the DSQ site, we'd register a view?
I believe so. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, that's another thing. I'm not 100% sure which views, you know, which occasions count as views with regard to images. I do believe that so long as the file is so-called, so it's hot linked, for example, then yes, that should count towards views, but I'm not 100% certain. But I think, yeah, it works with bloggers, so with this, with the same logic, it should work with any external site.
Mm.
So, you know, if you have your logo, navigation, sort of, you know, arrows and things like that, you could have all of that stored on Google Plus Photos, and you know, you might have, I don't know how many images per page. That could add up quite quickly.
Yep. Hello, Mr. Yonk. Hey. We're talking about views on profiles, image views, and the epic race between Tim Capper and Masataki Wasa, in which And Masataki ended up so far ahead that the stewards were about to call for the RSPCA.
Actually, I wouldn't call it an epic race. I'd call it. I would call it the North-South divide view count. That's what I would call it.
Masataki is verified.
That's only because he's a TC.
Yeah.
That is it. If I went and put the hours in as a TC and helped all these rambling, bumbling, crazy people out, and also became a TC, then I would also get the little tick next to my name.
And don't forget about his hamsters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I still think it's the region and images are shared. End of.
Yeah. I mean, and central London is a different magnitude from suburban areas. That's for sure. Central London shops, a fashion retailer, is generating roughly about, one particular photograph is roughly generating about 30,000 a day, 30,000 views a day.
Wow. It would almost be worth me nipping down to London for the day and taking some photos. Not that I was interested in my view count in any way, shape, or form.
All right. Look, we do have one final item on our news roundup, and that's something that's been fairly widely discussed. Josh ended up on Help Desk Hangouts with Sash Buyer and Barry Schwartz questioning him. And just the background is that Josh Baczynski ended up meeting up with Matt Cutts at a conference, and following that, I don't know if Josh had a rush of blood to the head. He's going to write a book, and he's built this website called and you can find on the net as themoralconcept.net. Themoralconcept.net. I actually agree with Josh's proposition that, well, I mean, Google's not really a person, so whether it's right to call a corporation immoral or amoral, but I think the acceptance of. Sorry, go ahead.
There is a thing called corporate governance, so I think that is accepted around the world. No.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I think there's an issue with ascribing sort of human characteristic, as it were, to a legal person. So I find that sort of, I do have a sort of slight barrier accepting that personally.
Well, can we accept that it's unethical? Can we accept that a corporation can conduct itself unethically?
Yeah, I think corporations can act and do things. The question is whether they can be. I mean, that's why I find the whole "don't be evil" thing slightly weird.
Well, I mean, Google's hoisted on its own petard, really, aren't they? Because the whole Google propaganda is about making us feel like Google is a loving provider of all things that tinkle and sparkle for free, and all we have to do is worship. Anyway, I think the point that concerns me is Google's acceptance of collateral damage. Google's choice to penalise sites, to knowingly harm sites, and with that know that there are sites that are being harmed that have nothing to do with the aims of the particular algorithm change that they're changing to target a certain sort of behavior. There are sites which are completely innocent which will also be harmed. Because websites aren't just a website. A website, behind a website, there's the person that packs the product, there's the advertising person, there's the people that answer the phones, there's the guy that's putting up the money to buy the product and so on. People go broke, people go broke and are bankrupted. And so is it right that Google should take a position that can hurt an innocent site? And then there's the second thing that bugs me is negative SEO. Because Google has a thing called upper limit parameters or upper limit thresholds, where and it varies from site to site, but you can have 1,000 backlinks going to X site, but should there be 1,002, an X site will be punished severely algorithmically. But 998, an X site will do very, very well, and nobody knows what that parameter might be. But it's an upper limit threshold, and once it's hit, it comes into play. And an innocent site who's done absolutely nothing wrong, just that a competitor has pointed backlinks to the site, that site will just drop out of sight, out of contention from the search engine results pages. So negative SEO has become standard practice, particularly in the bigger brands for the last 4 or 5 years. It's been standard practice, but lately everybody's onto it, and now negative SEO is becoming a part of people's arsenal. Rather than try to make their own site do better, it's easier to knock the site that's ahead of you out of the sky. And that, I think, is wrong. And the fact that Google would allow negative SEO to take place, not only that, lie about it year after year, say, oh no, it can't happen, can't work, can't do this, bullshit, it can't. It happens very easily. And the apologists come out and say, "Oh, negative SEO is not as easy as people make out." Bullshit, it's not easy. Anyway, that shouldn't happen, and I think that is wrong. So, anyway, what I'm trying to say is I'm fairly well right behind Josh Basinski, and only thing is, Josh, through having this conversation with Matt Cutts and then turning around and coming out with this website called themoralconcept.net and the book and so on, basically he's burned his bridges with Google forever. And to me, or for my, I don't know why he did that. I think it's well accepted that what Google does is unethical, but how they can be forced to change, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I do think that's how the public relation is now set up at Google to webmasters isn't good. Matt Katz is the head of the web spam team, and in general, it's not good to have somebody from such a negative point of view running the public relationship. I think Bing did a much better job on that one. So maybe it's time for Matt Katz to move, and Google should set a new employee that does a better job.
Have you thought of passing this on to Larry?
And I don't think he's listening to me. Well, Matt Katz is quite negative, isn't it?
Well, I think he's gone mad.
No, I think that I think that's a very good point. In that, if the webmaster's facing person, the most recognizable person, is responsible for web spam, there is, to a certain extent, underlying antagonism in how people sort of perceive what their jobs are. If you're web spam team, then I suppose it really is about fighting web spam.
Now, here's the thing. If Bing can do just as good a job as Google, and in some cases recently a better job than Google in producing results without having these penalties and hurting, financially harming individuals who may or may not be guilty of whatever transgression Google is trying to penalize. If Bing can produce a result without a penalty, if Baidu can do it, if Yandex can do it, if DuckDuckGo can do it, or no, DuckDuckGo is probably not the right. DuckDuckGo is not really a search engine, so that's probably not the right analogy. But if Bing and Yahoo and Yandex and Baidu, if they can do it without penalties, Google's the only one with these penalties. Why can't Google? Why can't Google change course and stop harming innocent people? Or am I completely out of order? I'll tell you what I must do. I'll see if Sash Meyer is awake. I'll see if I can call him.
They hurt website owners so much because they have a huge market share. If we had 10 search engines, everybody had 10%, then it wouldn't be that of a problem, would it? So it's not only that Google is hurting, it's also the market share that Google has.
Yeah, in a sense that if you could get it right with Google, then you've done well, and I think that's because Google has a huge market share. So a lot more people have how could I put it? More people have stronger incentive to do well in Google compared to other search engines, and I think there is an element of that. It's just a matter of scale, in that if people can game the system on Google, then they're mainly good.
I don't have a problem with spammers being punished. In fact, I think spammers, are the germs of the earth. My concern is for the people who aren't spammers, people that are just running their business and are penalised.
Well, Google would argue that that's an acceptable amount of collateral damage. It's kind of a utilitarian argument, isn't it? Even if you hurt a small number of people, if the quality improves for the vast majority of users, then that's a price worth paying.
Isn't there a covenant, though? I mean, people are using a search engine to find things. Aren't they entitled to assume that the method used to determine the results are level and fair?
Yeah, and that's also the basis of the search engine results, because as far as I know, they fall under fair use. So
yeah, I mean, yeah. There are no particular SEO favor in that sense. I mean, Google is not artificially promoting or demoting sites just because they perhaps don't like it. They don't like particular sites. I mean, they are promoting and demoting sites according to the criteria and algorithms that they've set up. So they're not sort of in that sense. They're not saying they're not individually targeting sites. They're targeting particular subset of users and categories, even though there are manual penalties. That point besides. But in terms of the general algorithmic systematic side of things, they're not. I think they are looking at. They're not looking at a particular. They're looking at the general.
This is a nice quote from the article. Shows the lesser of evil is still choosing evil. So Google has committed no sin against God or the state. But they have still sinned against men.
Okay. Well, look. What about a manual action? Like if someone puts a spam report in, a manual action. That's not a level playing field. That's a specific action against a specific site. And before you answer that, I'm all in favour. I mean, if I make a spam report, it's because the site that is doing whatever they're doing is doing something particularly egregious. So, I mean, I probably make about 2 or 3 spam reports a year. I'm not much used to the system, but sometimes I stumble against a site and I thought, I'll say that, that's just not on, and I'll report it. But that's fine. That part is fine. But what if, say, the site is Edwin's site, and Edwin hasn't spammed, he hasn't done anything wrong, but another site has built up 100,000 backlinks to his site, and somebody reports it and asks for a manual penalty. What about that?
Okay, so in that case, Google is sort of duped, isn't it? And obviously, it's unjust for Edwin's site to be penalized. That I think that is granted. I don't think anyone could argue against that. But it's not that how could I put it? Google has been fooled, as it were. So that's a bad sign, because it shouldn't be fooled, or it should not be fooled so easily. That I think that's a totally fair argument to make. But they in such instances, Google had not intended to do that, even though they ended up sort of harming a site, but without the intent of harming that site, if that makes sense. It ended up harming Edwin's site, but it didn't go out, set out. They just looked at the matter of the facts and decided, okay, this, and according to whatever criteria they used, they decided, okay, yes, this site merits a penalty because it fulfills X, Y, and Z. So that, yeah, I mean, so I do agree with you that it probably happens, and negative SEO in that sense is a possibility and probably a real thing.
It's even worse because they don't provide the data. Yeah. I'm not sure where the threshold for the amount of links are in Webmaster Tools, but you don't see all the links to your site within Google's Webmaster Tool. So even if you're targeted, Google knows where those links are. You cannot find them.
Yeah. And they don't give you all of the links that are coming to your site. I mean, if they were to give you, I mean, look, I've got an idea for Google. Here's an idea, and Tim, you'll love this. And look, what I reckon they should do, they should make a tool like a disavow links tool. They should make a tool to disavow a set of links, right? And people should be able to say, look at their links and see all the links that they've got pointing at their site, and then they should be able to put them in a list and upload them to Google, and then those links actually do something, and so that if some bastard starts negative SEOing your site, innocent victims can protect themselves. Now, I think this is a good idea. We should send this to Matt Cutts. And a disavow links tool.
Yeah, that's a good name. Disavow tool. That's a very good name. Yeah, yeah. And in fact, Jim, why don't they do this? Is also providing you with the list of all your links. Next to it, have like or segment it out into, into like red, amber, and green. Red, these are dangerous for your site, or we perceive to be dangerous. Amber, yeah, they're borderline, kind of, please just look at these. And green ones, A-OK. And then with the red ones, when you click on it to check it, it has an option there saying disavow or not to disavow. And you click disavow, and it gets automatically added to this new disavow tool thing. How about that?
Well, in addition, I would like a notification, just like with the pharma hack. If Google finds a number of times of Viagra on your site, they may pop you a notification that you are being hacked, or that they find strange content on your site. And within a time period, if they find really low quality links or spammy links to your site, they can notify you. No?
But make it nice and easy. It's nice in a red, and when you click on the link in the Webmaster Tools, you have the little thing saying keep or disavow. Do you know what I mean? You just click disavow, and it automatically adds that link. It gets taken out of the metric, it's removed out of your Webmaster Tool, and automatically added into disavow there. How nice would that make it for people to manage this?
And how transparent.
Yeah, that is just maybe too transparent.
or they could periodically dump upper limit thresholds for a period, like a random period. So they could have upper limit thresholds applying for an indeterminate length of time, and at a random point they switch to using upper limit thresholds again, so that if someone's blasting you out of the sky with links, all of a sudden those links will start to help.
Yeah, but the SERPs would be completely screwed. You'd pretty much be able to pinpoint it exactly when they turned it on or turned it off. Because, Jesus, can you imagine what the search results would look like, man?
Yeah, I guess you're right. So the only hope we've got is to wait for Google to introduce a disavow tool.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah. And to give us our links. And to tell us which ones in their eyes are good or bad. And to be able to just click a button and disavow it automatically.
To me, I mean, I don't care, what they tell me, as long as I was able to disavow links and have that mean something. That's the thing. To know that they'd actually use them, consume them. Well, are we at the end of another night? Well, look, to the viewers that are still watching us, thank you very, very much for taking the trouble to continue to watch us. It's the views from people like you that make what we do worthwhile. Just some stats. Currently, we have just approached 155,000 viewed minutes, 18,500 views. We have 1,140 odd members on the community, and I can't imagine. I mean, if somebody told us that this would have happened, we wouldn't have believed it, would we, Tim? No? Anyway, thank you very much for watching us, and we'll be here at the same time next week.